Hi everybody, this is Boogess Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing another weekly Walking Dead review. So this weekly Walking Dead review is going to be on the Walking Dead comic series Lydia figure. So before we take a look at Lydia, let's take a look at her accessories. Now, full-on spoiler warning here. One of her accessories is a huge spoiler from the comics, and potentially a spoiler in the show too. It may or may not happen in the show, but just in case it does, this is the spoiler warning. So if you want to, just skip past the accessories if you don't want to learn spoilers from the comics or potentially the TV show. So first up, her accessory is the severed head of Ezekiel on a pike. And this whole comic series had each figure came with a head on a pike from the Whisperers. And this head is Ezekiel's with the windswept hair. His zombified head, I should say. Although the eyes don't look quite zombified to me, like they should have a little bit of like a glaze over them. But other than that, it has some really good detail. Especially on the underneath of his neck here. Let me take that off. It just has some really good detail. Like I said, my only complaint is he doesn't look zombified enough. Like he doesn't look like he had turned. And the feathers on his hair. A little bit of the gray from his hair is showing through because it's just casting that collar and then the blue's painted over. Blue painted over the feathers there. You can see a little bit of the gray there. But, looks pretty cool. So I will go ahead and set this to a side here. She comes with this really tiny knife. And it's supposed to be a knife, but honestly it looks more like a butter knife. So let me just... Well, it fits really loose in her hand, see? It'll slip right out. I'm not even sure where that actually went. Oh, right there. You might be able to fit it in the left hand. Yeah, it's still pretty loose even in her left hand. So that's a complaint of mine. Now, before we take a look at her normal head sculpt, we'll take a look at her last accessory, her masked head sculpt. And it has the same kind of joint as Alpha, just the peg that allows the swivel head. But this head sculpt looks really nice. I like all the detail on it. It has that wash of green over the dark gray skin. And on the back, they really didn't paint the stitching up, or where they tie the mask in the back. It's not painted that well at all. And then the hair still has some gray in it. I feel like they could have painted the hair a little bit better, because the hair is just the same color as the mask. They didn't bother painting it at all. Maybe if they would have done like a light brown color, or maybe like a light brownish yellow, it would have looked better, but it mostly just looks like it's part of the mask. It doesn't really look like hair. I mean, it looks cool, but it could have used just a little bit more detail. And then putting this head on, which once you have the normal head on, it doesn't really look that bad. Even though it has that really weird peg that only allows the swivel there, I do think it looks really good, and it doesn't look, unsightly. So looking at the head sculpt, her normal head sculpt, looks really good. Now, I feel like her eyes are just a little bit too big, like, they stand out. You really can't see much color to them, it's just black. I think they should have added just a little bit of color to it. But now her hair has some really nice shading to it. It has a wash and some shading on it because it's that brownish blonde color. And then it has like a really, really light blonde and then really dark brown mixed into it. So she has lots of detail to her hair, and it looks really good. And her shirt looks pretty good. I like how it's that dark purple color, and on the wrinkles it's the light pink, how it does look like it's been worn, and it has a couple holes in it. And she even has a hole right there in her jeans. And as always, McFarlane Toys did a really good job with the sculpting and the texturing of the jeans. They have that wash of the light brown over them. And it looks pretty good. And then there are her shoes. And her shoes are also painted really good. It's really weird that her masked head sculpt isn't painted as nice as, like the shoes right here. The laces on her shoes are painted on really good, and it's not sloppy at all. But back here, it's hardly painted on at all. So that is pretty irritating. Now, since she is a small figure, she tends not to want to stand up. Well, of course, now she's standing up. now that I'm doing this review. But it is something that you have to pose her around quite a bit to kind of get a feel for her, because she is a really small figure. Like Carl is a little bit smaller, but still, since she's such a small figure, her articulation, not her articulation, since she is smaller, she tends to fall over a lot, because she has the thin legs and the thin arms, and her torso is the heaviest part on her. So that tends to make her want to fall forward. So now let's go over the articulation. She has swivel head that can just move side to side. She has ball-jointed shoulders that can move out that far. She has single-jointed elbows that can bend in pretty far that also swivel side to side. She has swivel wrists that can move side to side and up and down. She has a slight swivel at the waist, but nothing major, because the shirt does drape down around her waist, so you won't get much articulation there. She has the double swivel hips that can do a complete split. She can kick forward just a little bit. Her shirt does hinder that as well. And she can kick back just a little bit. She has single-jointed knee that can't really bend in that far. And she has ball-jointed ankles. So the ball-jointed ankles usually help the figure, but in Lydia's case, they became pretty loose, like they turn pretty freely. So that's another thing, another reason that she wants to fall over a lot. So now let's do some size comparisons here. Okay, let's get her to stand. There. So first up, here she is next to Alpha. And I think the size difference is pretty good there. Here she is next to Beta, who is a huge figure. Well, I mean, huge for The Walking Dead, since they're 5-inch figures. And he towers over her, which is pretty accurate because he's a really big character in the comics. Here she is next to Carl, and this is not the accurate Carl that should go with her. It should be Carl when he's a teen. This is Carl when he's a kid, and I wish we would get another one. With the Mega Box being canceled, it's hard to tell if we're even getting more comic figures now. I'm still hoping we'll get some exclusives though, and maybe Carl will be one of them. And now for some TV show comparisons. Here she is next to the custom Season 9 Daryl I made. And finally, here she is next to the Season 9 Michonne I made. And this Michonne does not want to stand, so I'm just going to hold her like that. So there she is next to Michonne. So overall, I really like this figure. I think she's a really good figure. Like I said, she doesn't want to stand, and her joints have become, well, the ball joints on her ankles have become really loose since posing her around, so she does tend to fall over just a little bit more. But that's really my only complaint with her. So overall, I would highly recommend it. I would also recommend Alpha and Beta, so you can complete the trio of Whisperers, the main trio of Whisperers. So that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.